Mother Nature, September 12, 2017. I'm sure many of us have our own theories about why Mother Nature is wreaking havoc with hurricanes, brush fires, earthquakes, and floods lately. I'm a true believer that nothing is ever a coincidence. At Mass yesterday, I was reminded of humanity. The priest gave specific details about a story he read about someone preparing for Hurricane Irma. The gist of the article was about a woman who desperately needed to buy a generator because she feared if the power went out, her father, who was on life support, would not make it. She jumped in her car and drove 40 miles to Lowe's, but when she was about to buy the last generator, someone else bought it. I have to admit, when the priest got to this point of the story, I braced myself, expecting to be disappointed. It's times like these we have seen the very worst in people. However, the priest continued. Another customer who had already purchased this generator saw the woman crying and sensed her desperation, so he sold the generator he'd just bought to her. My heart did a little leap when I heard that humanity still exists. The story continues. A day later, Lowe's was able to restock more generators, and they gave, yes, for free, a generator to the man who willingly gave up his to this woman. So why are all these crazy weather conditions popping up everywhere? Here's my analysis. My kids are a lot like Mother Nature. On any given day, my kids could be playing together and getting along just fine. Quiet and happy. Sooner or later, one or both kids gets hungry or tired, so I begin to hear loud voices. I wait, hoping it's just a one-time deal. When I hear the kids continue to use loud voices, I take that as my cue that my daughter is in need of attention. For years, I would get super annoyed when I came to see why they weren't playing as quietly as they were minutes ago. I would blame my daughter for ruining such a good thing because she was usually the one shouting. A couple of years ago, I finally realized that my daughter talks louder because this is her way of getting my attention without actually asking for it. I began to observe why this was happening, and my conclusion is that my kids would probably continue to play nicely if only my son could recognize when he is hungry. Have you seen the Snickers commercials? My poor daughter doesn't stand a chance when her hangry brother rears his head. Nowadays, the minute I hear her loud voice, I say, "I'm coming, I know someone needs me, and I'm on my way." This is what parents do. We figure out why something is happening with our children, and then we do something to prevent it from happening again. It's a never-ending cycle because once the parents finally figure it out, another problem comes up. Mother Nature has heard our loud voices, and she has finally come up with a parenting strategy that should get us back on track. Everyone has been pretty loud about shit that really doesn't matter when you're in the midst of losing your life or your home due to weather conditions. Politics isn't a top priority when the nation is focused on the lives being impacted by a hurricane. It's fitting for our nation to come together to help one another because when someone loses their house or their pet or their loved one to a flood or earthquake or brush fire, I don't think their political views are going to matter to the people helping them. We as a nation are pulling together to help each other. I personally do not think Mother Nature has any other motives than that. People are donating all across America to help. This theory could just be me trying to find the bright side, the blessing in all of this. I'm sure the global warming educators and activists have their own theories, but I don't think they would argue with the fact that at the end of the day, people are coming together to help each other. The majority of us are happy to drop everything to help complete strangers who need a nation of humanity. When we lived on Hollywood Beach in Florida, we encountered many hurricane threats. Some years may not have had any threats, while other years may have had 2 or 3 major hurricane threats. One year, this was before I had a dog and or a child, I evacuated from the beach and went inland to stay with a friend. I remember being so scared and so experienced because I had never encountered a hurricane. I knew about earthquakes, but not hurricanes. The memory of being in a safe, warm, and inviting home while this was all happening around us will never be forgotten. My friend was very hospitable during this time when I needed her. Plus, she even let me bring a friend of mine whom she didn't know prior to this hurricane. Thank you, Paige, for being a stand-up friend in my time of need. I don't think even if I tried, I would be able to forget that time in my life. I witnessed people helping each other in the grocery stores and gas stations. And I also witnessed people taking advantage of the situation with their greed and lack of human decency. So when Hurricane Irma was coming to Florida, my heart and prayers went out to them. It's Georgia's turn to collect prayers and positive juju now that she's on her way over there. Thank you, Lowe's, JetBlue, and many other positive, wonderful companies for showing compassion, thoughtfulness, and humanity when those around you are in need. Pinches, Barb.